All right, so we got a really, really interesting review sent to us that we want to take a closer look at today, and it's for this drama series,
Yeah.
Adolescence, that came out this year. Apparently, it's 2025, I guess.
Yeah, it seems like time is flying.
Time flies when you're having fun, right?
Yeah.
But this show is getting a lot of buzz. It seems like everyone's talking about it, so we're going to break down this review and see if it's worth adding to your watch list.
Yeah, and without giving away any spoilers.
Exactly. Spoiler-free deep dive today. So big thanks to DR for sending this in.
Yes, thank you, DR.
So the central question that DR poses in this review is this a must-watch or just a filmmaking experiment that didn't quite land?
Yeah, because, there's a lot of hype around it.
A lot of hype. So let's jump right in.
Yeah.
So right off the bat, DR is praising Adolescence for its strong societal relevance, particularly for parents, right? And they actually gave it a perfect 10 out of 10 for social relevance, acting, and effort. Yeah, so that right there tells you something about what they thought of it, and they specifically pointed to, the challenges of uncontrolled social media access for minors as something that resonated.
Oh, so it sounds like it's really tapping into some current anxieties, especially for those of us who are parents trying to navigate, how much access our kids have.
Oh, absolutely. Especially in today's world, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that the acting got a 10, that also suggests that, the performances must have been really compelling, really brought these issues to life.
Yeah, definitely.
Now let's talk about the technical aspects.
Okay.
So DR highlights the impressive single-shot cinematography as a key feature. And just for those who might not be familiar with this term, single shot basically means that the camera rolls continuously for a really long time, potentially even the entire film, without any visible cuts.
It can be pretty impressive to pull off.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it takes a lot of planning and coordination. But here's where it gets interesting. So right after praising the ambition and the psychological depth that single-shot technique brings DR kind of questions, whether it really served the story. They felt like at times it seemed forced and that the series could have been trimmed by an hour.
So it's like appreciating the effort and even the potential of the technique, but maybe not fully convinced that it was always the best choice for this particular narrative.
Exactly. And to kind of illustrate this point, they compare it to Athena, which was that 2022 film known for its own, pretty intense single-shot sequences.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one. It was
pretty wild visually.
Yeah, and DR felt that the technique was far more seamless in Athena. But they also point out that it's a very different genre, right? Athena was more action-oriented, whereas Adolescence is obviously a drama about, adolescence. That's a really good point. I mean, the effectiveness of a technique like a single shot really depends on the story you're trying to tell, right? Like in an action film, it could really amplify the tension and make you feel like you're right there in the middle of the chaos. But in a more character-driven drama, it might actually work against the pacing or make it harder to connect with the characters emotionally.
Yeah, it's all about finding that right balance.
Exactly.
And it seems like DR thinks that Adolescence might have tipped the scales a little too far in one direction because they gave continuous shots a 6 out of 10 with a note of impressive but overused.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and then entertainment value also got a 6, described as engaging but could have been tighter.
So a bit of a mixed bag there, huh?
Yeah, like a really interesting premise, really strong performances, tackles important societal issues, but the way it's all put together might not be for everyone.
Yeah, and that makes the reviewer's ultimate takeaway even more intriguing, right? Because despite these reservations, DR still gives Adolescence a hashtag highly recommended because of its societal impact.
Yeah, so clearly the core message of the show really resonated with them, even if they had some issues with the execution.
And they leave us with that question to ponder, was the filmmaking style necessary? Which I think is brilliant because it really challenges us to think about the relationship between form and content, right?
Right. So as a viewer, you really have to decide what's more important to you. Do you want a film that tackles these tough but super relevant social issues, even if the filmmaking style might be a little jarring? Or do you prefer something that's more conventionally entertaining, even if it doesn't have the same kind of thematic weight?
Tough choice.
It is a tough choice. And here's a final thought to kind of leave you with. Maybe that unbroken visual flow, even if it feels a little forced at times, could actually mirror the relentlessness, the constant connectivity of adolescence in today's world.
That's a really interesting way to look at it.
Yeah, like maybe it's adding a layer of subconscious understanding to the whole experience that we don't even fully realize.
Food for thought, for sure.
Food for thought. All right, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into adolescence.
Thanks for having me.
We'll catch you next time.
See you.